Alright guys, look like we are going to be getting into this game right away here. We've got Team Frostfire versus Xer0thermic. Xer0thermic. I'm going to go with Zero. I'm going to keep this simple as simple as we can. Immediately the Blitzcrank coming up for Team Frostfire.
Xer0thermic, yes. Yeah, Team FireFrost, I believe was actually one of our previous teams, Spectral Coconuts, which haven't shown their faces here for a couple weeks now. Glad to see him back. Twisted Fate ban as well, just relieving that global pressure, which we didn't actually see last game from Twisted Fate, but it was a Shen who was just so miles ahead of his Elise lane opponent and just stamped pressure just on that half of the map for the whole game. Xer ban, it looks like they just really don't want to deal with any disengage and going for kind of a team fight comp. We saw that last game. There was a Janna ban, and they were just going for this kind of wombo combo, or somewhat of a press R to win comp, where you have the slicing maelstrom on top of a crescendo and a true shot barrage, just doing tons of AoE damage. Ezreal ban and a Vayne ban. It looks like we have either some comp specific bans or some player specific bans coming out here, especially now that Team FireFrost is back in the tournament. Some player-specific bans, sorry, are not too unusual to see.
Yeah, so we do see Graves and Thresh being instantly locked into there. Looks like they do have something in mind. That is an extremely scary bot lane that has already been decided upon by this point, with the Thresh being able to land Death Sentence, managing to lock up somebody, especially with the Flay, and when he gets the ultimate, the box, with the Graves being able to quick draw, buckshot, and collateral damage in, doing humongous amounts of damage earlier into the game, and able to 100-0 somebody extremely easily.
Yeah, and that's just something they're going to have to watch out for as they get their comp together. Having something like a Cataclysm against the AoE of like Graves in particular, it's just going to lock you in where that AoE damage is really easy to land. We'll see how the rest of the team deals with it, and we already see Evil Kid locking in a Lulu, which is actually going to help kind of counteract the AoE. Like, say if the Thresh comes in and he's all of a sudden knocked up from that wild growth. Now we see a Zac and a Sejuani hovered over here. Both kind of in the same boat. Lulu is just one of those good disruptors for a team fight engage. Like, it looks like Zero is trying to lock in here.
Yeah, look, they are still hovering over that pick. What does concern me though is that there won't be a humongous amount of damage that'll be coming out from Zero here. Although they, like, Sejuani and Zac, don't get me wrong, are not completely useless in terms of damage. They do a fair amount, but in terms of like overall burst damage and able to pick out, like, destroy somebody's health bar extremely quickly, that's something that team kind of is lacking in a sense. Zac does have a % max health nuke, but it's not that strong, especially in comparison to other % max health abilities. So they don't have a huge amount of damage. They do still have either their mid or top laner, depends on where Zac decides to go with that, to choose from that as well, though. They could be kind of going for protect our carries sort of composition. We do see Ashe being locked in for Team Frostfire, and Orianna being hovered over for Orianna actually being locked in for Team FireFrost.
Yeah, it looks like FireFrost is going for this pseudo engage poke comp with the Jason there, and even a little bit of the Ashe as well. They're going for a little bit of poke, but then you have the ball delivery system. You have wild growth. There is so much crowd control that they have, especially with their ultimate combos, that's going to keep Zero locked up in place. And now the Ahri is locked in for Kujomi, they're going to have a little bit of an answer for it. The mobility that Ahri provides is it could be enough to get around the combo as long as she's not standing on top of the rest of her own team when the ultimate combo is coming out from FireFrost. But it should be enough, and we'll see how they deal with it.
I do want to point out, FireFrost has got a really interesting team in terms of the fact that even if they do tend to fall behind a little bit in terms of their laning, their team fight is ridiculously strong. It is incredibly strong how team fight oriented this composition is, with the Jarvan Lulu being able to do the knock-up combo. That's a double knock-up right there. Then you got the Orianna Command Shockwave, which you'll probably be using on Command Protect on the Jarvan. So that's another knock-up slash knockback. I'm not quite sure what that's classified as, but it does make a person useless for about 1.5 seconds. And then you got the Ashe stun on top of that. And if she can get that from a pretty good distance away, she can get up to a 2 to 3 second stun on a single target, and then an AoE slow on top of that. So they have a ridiculous amount of lockdown potential, not just for one person, but for the entire enemy team if they can land it properly.
Yeah, and it's something that both of these teams have. All of those Freljord sisters have just like these insane stun ultimates. Sejuani and Ashe both have like those skill shot AoE stuns. Ashe is actually only one target stun, but it's a lot of slows. But Sejuani can actually stun multiple people. So even though both teams have this really good engage potential, they also have really good counter engage if they can play it right. One thing I want well, never mind. I was about to point out that Evil Kids is actually sitting on Ignite, but he changed it to Exhaust earlier. And I was going to say, like, they're going to win their lane. There's no teleport here. There's no real anything. And even Esteem, he was sitting on a teleport for Zac in the top lane, and that has now been taken away for Ignite. So both teams are really looking to get as much of an early game advantage as possible, and then snowball it from there. As long as they can keep it ahead, and even the team that ends up behind, they still have really just their kits to keep them in the game, and only if one of the teams gets really ahead will they really be able to secure a win.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to point out though what Zero has extremely like what their comp really stands out to me with. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of a tongue twister here. They are extremely good at catching people who are even the slightest bit out of position. And Ari is notorious for being able to pick off somebody who's out of position with that charm. If they're not using their mini line correctly, if they're not like hiding behind their team, if they're off to the side a little bit, that charm will pick them off. And then the rest of the team can just dive into that and absolutely melt them. They are really good at picking off people who aren't completely perfect in their positioning.
Yeah, that's a really good point to make. The charm and the death sentence both really good at catching people out, and it's not even just whole team situations. They can catch out 1v1 or 2v2 and make this good skirmish happen. And it's something that actually, again, both teams are really good at. They both have very similar compositions. They can lay AoE ultimates on top of each other, either for damage or for lockdown, and it just gets so much control in the fight. Usually, if they can, I want to say whoever engages first between the teams is going to win. But then I also mentioned the counter engage that both of them have. A point blank glacial prison is extremely easy to land. You have the box for a bit of a counter engage to slow people down when they're coming in. You have if you get engaged upon, if FireFrost gets engaged upon, whoever they focus down first is just going to be a wild growth, and they're going to have a lot of health back. So it's I want to say it's whoever engages first, but it's really just up to
It's
execution
really
on both
not. You're
sides.
absolutely right. Like they have the ability to counter engage, to disengage, to like both team compositions are exceptional at being able to disengage if necessary and engage or counter engage if necessary. So this is honestly like I can't even give the smallest amount of favor to either team because both of these team compositions are extremely good. They're both really strong. There is a little bit more CC coming out from FireFrost, I would say, but in terms of just raw team composition, it is extremely equal, and this is definitely a 100% skill-oriented team fight composition.
Yeah, forgive me a little bit. I'm actually having some issues with the client. It wasn't letting me spectate, and I'm gonna have to re-log in for myself here.
All
Um.
right. While we
Anyway,
wait, though, we'll get into the skin intimidation factors. So on the blue corner, we have Warring Kingdoms, Jarvan the Fourth, and Debonair Jace as the only two skins coming out there. Meanwhile, in the purple corner, we have Mafia Graves, Deep Terror Thresh, Traditional Sejuani. We're gonna not count that one because that one came free if you have Sejuani, and Foxfire Ari. So that is three skins overall coming out for Zero. So skin intimidation factor goes over to purple side Zero.
dang, where's RDX this week? We always know him for the Foxfire Ari. Anyway, kind of almost ironic using Foxfire against a Firefrost team. But,
That's a very good point, actually. Actually, if you mention
Anyway.
it, FireFrost, we have a Sejuani and a Foxfire Ari.
oh wow.
Alright, team's
I think-
getting loaded up right now. Almost in. They're all at 100%. We're going to be getting in here in just a moment. There we go. Team has started. We will be getting right into the game. Looks like there's a lot of aggression coming down for both teams. Both kind of heading over towards everybody else's jungle. Xer0 is already at the blue side's red buff. There are lots of pings going down from both teams all over the map. Evo looks like he might be getting caught out here. You're getting actually hit by the death sentence here. Getting dropped down extremely low. That will be first blood going down already for Kujomi in the mid lane.
Okay, I missed everything.
Oh, are you still not in? Okay, I'll keep going for now. Alright, so looks like
yeah. Anyway, yeah, first blood. I see it about 20 seconds late. Everyone, please forward all your hate mail to Riot for me, and I will thank you profusely.
Alright, so looks like after the first blood, everybody's going to kind of head over to their own side of the jungle. Both junglers opting for a blue start. Doesn't look like any crazy lane swaps happening either. Everybody going over to their own lane, and we're going to be getting started here as soon as these jungle camps spawn.
Yeah, and looks like fairly standard item starts all around. Actually, a Doran's Blade on Jace, which is, I take that back, something we don't often see. Normally what you see from a Jace at the start is something like maybe a Fairy Charm just to keep his mana open lane, because he's one of those very mana intensive casters. It's normally why we see the likes of a tier built on, not just for the damage, but just to keep him able to keep casting spells. So I'm taking a little bit low from that blue buff, but he should be fine after that. But yeah, the Doran's Blade is just there because he wants to have a lot of damage at the beginning of the game, and it's something that can... It's also a little bit there for sustain, because especially against the Zac, he's going to have to just auto-attack as much as possible to mash a sustain, and Esteem is going to be able to sustain through any poke that Toas Bar is going to put out.
Yeah, I do want to point out about this mid lane here that Dark and Evo have to be really careful. The Lulu does have the ability to do a little bit of a disengage early on in terms of using Whimsy in case they get caught out, but in the sense that they do get caught out, there's almost nowhere for them to run. They have so much damage that can come out. Thresh actually does a surprising amount of damage early on into the game. So if they do get caught out, there's literally nowhere for them to run. Asami actually heading down over here. They do know he's coming. Trying his best to catch up over to Vuspec there. They do manage to get close enough to his turret. Esam's going to walk away from that. Doesn't want to pull off that gank. Meanwhile, on the top lane, sorry, how do you say his name? Black Deloria? I'm going to say Black. Sejuani handing up to the top lane. Lots of power going down onto Oathas, but he does manage to back away from that as well.
Yeah, he was forced to flash in that engagement, so that's a summoner down, and it's a lane that Black can return to later, or really in the near future, just to get that secured kill on Jace. He doesn't really have...
so lots of aggression going down into the bottom lane here. Evo getting a little bit caught out though. Lots of damage being traded around here. Exhaust going down into Mosep. Dark getting a little bit zoned out by Vuspec here though. Lots of damage coming down for both teams though. Looks like Smokescreen's just going to be dropped down. Getting a little bit zoned out. Evo still going in really hard though. Taking a lot of damage from the buckshot. And he will walk away from this as well. So that was a lot of blow trading going down there.
Yeah, both of these, and especially the Xer0 team, is really just built for skirmishing in the bot lane. Graves and Thresh have a little bit more crowd control available to them pre-6, and they can just control the 2v2 engagements as they want. That is before 6. Once the Enchanted Crystal Arrow and Wild Growth is available, FireFrost should be able to trade back a little bit easier.
Yeah, so this is actually going to be a really interesting bot lane. I think I'm going to be keeping my eyes on this one a little bit more. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we don't see a huge amount of aggression going down. CS is a little bit more in favor for Raging Demon on Orianna. Doing a pretty good job. Able to farm relatively easily on his side with Clockwork Wind Up, his passive. Dealing increased magic damage per auto attack. We see Black Deloria hanging out near the bottom lane here. There are pings heading down. I think they might suspect he is over there. Maybe just like an intuitional guess, but I can't say for sure. But he is hanging out over there. Mosep's is really low. They might be trying to bait out a fight here. Evil actually getting a little bit, actually getting hooked down here. Taking out a lot of damage. Flame being used. Evil getting dropped down really low. Forced to flash away. Vuspec is really low. Almost getting dropped down. Exhaust being used on Dark, and Dark is forced to flash away.
Yeah, and in the mid lane, there was actually a gank down to Kajomi. He was forced to flash as well. A lot of summoners being blown really early in this game on all sides. Junglers, it's really the very good situation for them because they can return to just about any lane they want to. Really, with the exception of, and it's mostly the summoners being blown on FireFrost. So far, only the Raging Demon has been able to keep his flash in this early level game. Assam, of course, is the jungler, so it doesn't mean as much as far as like lanes to take advantage of because he's in the jungle. You're not going to just find a jungler and gank him too often. Counter ganks are possible, but it's just not as common. Anyway.
So let's take a look at the farm while everybody's kind of recalling and going back to base. The bottom lane, we have 40 CS now coming up for Ashe, in comparison to Graves 38, so relatively even out on the farm here. Graves does have an assist from that first blood though, so just a small little bit of a gold lead, I believe, coming out for him. Yeah, extremely small, pretty much even, so not even really worth mentioning. In the top lane, we have Zach with 39 to Jace's 40 now, so 10 CS lead in favor of that.
We have Black hovering around this mid lane looking for a gank, though. You're going to have to watch that in the next few minutes. He might back out, though. He looks like he's getting happy feet, and he should be backing out soon. I'm actually casting a little bit of a delay here. I'm still not in that game. For, I don't know what reason.
Just press J. Press J. Shift exactly. A lot of aggression going down here. Kujami actually getting a little bit caught up. Gets knocked up under his tower. Is forced to use Spirit Rush to disengage that gank, though. So that is an ultimate down here. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, a lot of aggression going down here. Polymorph being used, and everybody's getting disengaged from that as well. So we can actually see a lot of the engagement / ditch engagement coming out from both teams here. And just how it's kind of, it's helping them play aggressive, but it's helping them play safe as well. So it's a lot of interesting stuff going down. A lot of aggression coming back down onto the bot lane as well. They're trying to clear our war. Death Sentence missing down. Polymorph being used onto Moseps. Evil getting dropped down really low. Shield going down. Evil getting dropped down extremely low. Exhaust being used onto Moseps. Mosep using the lantern to manage to get away safely from that though, as Jarvan was heading down from the river.
Yeah, and I totally missed our tiny kills in this. Sorry. I cannot express how much I really don't like Riot right now.
Server's acting a little bit funny. No worries, no worries.
Yeah, they're having some issues. There's a lot of disconnections right now. A lot of ghost games left. If you can look in your client, those notifications are there. Yeah, obviously no kills. Only the one kill on the map so far is the first blood that went to Ari in the mid lane. That would be for Kajomi. And one very surprising thing, he had first blood, but he's losing lane right now. A lot of CS advantage is actually going in favor of the Raging Demon. Sam has been looking for some action in his bot lane, just really helping push it back up, because no one's really level 6 down in that lane yet, except for Graves. That's sorry, I can't even read the name of the players on the stream right now. It's a little bit bad for me.
No worries. So both AD carries have now hit 6. Supports are still sitting at level 5. Jarvan's kind of hanging around there for a little bit of a long time, trying to zone them out from CS and maybe see if they tried to get a little bit greedy and kind of catch them off guard there with an EQ combo, but they did manage to disengage from that. Lane pushing back towards FireFrost side on the bottom lane. Just going to be happy to farm that up. Everybody kind of returning to their own jungles and lanes and farming it back up safely.
Yeah, and I kind of
a lot of aggression go down onto the top lane here. Jay's getting a little bit caught out here. Ignite being used. Let's Bounce going down, doing a lot of damage. Flash coming away from there. Flash coming down also from Estimo, and he estimate Hokage. I'm gonna call him Hokage, and he does manage to pick up the kill onto Jace.
I've been calling it a steam so far. It's close enough, but yeah, the kill did go down there. He's had actually a very massive CS lead so far. Bot lane taking a lot of damage. But yeah, the Steam has had a lot of really just lane dominance over a Toha so far, despite being a melee against a range like a Jace. It's really just showing how well he knows the matchup, and he's using the CS lead he already has to keep that lead. Flash forced out of raging.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Kujami actually picking up a kill down there. I did manage to miss that one. Spirit Rush was used, same with Command Shockwave and Flash from Raging Demon, as Kujami used his Ignite as well. So that was a kill picked up for Kujami. Now 2-0 in his lane.
Yeah, there was a lot of aggression there for Kujami, but he used the Spirit Rush going in and out on top of the Raging Demon. Command Protect was down, and actually the Shockwave missed on Kujami because he had Spirit Rushed out. and the Ignite takes him down for the kill.
Yeah, really well played from Kajumi there, managing to dodge the skill shots then. Looks like everybody's just kind of going back. I do want to point out in this top lane here, though, Hokage has decided to go completely defensive items here. He's got a Doran shield, he's got a Giant's belt, and a chain vest, opting to go most likely for that Sunfire cape. Meanwhile, Jace has only got his Tear of the Goddess and a Doran's blade. So Hokage really doesn't mind fighting this Jace. He knows he can just kind of take a couple shots to the face and not have to worry about it. Especially with Cell Division's passive that can just kind of heal him back up slowly as it does percent max health heals.
Yeah, and that's percent health damage against the Tohas who doesn't have any magic resist to deal with it.
There's a lot of aggression going down onto mid lane, a Charm going down onto Raging Demon. Kujami just kind of kiting around, using her spells around. Looks like they're going a lot of aggression here. Black Deloria shows up there. Esam is here, dodging the EQ combo from Esam. Glacial Prison being dropped down here. Esam getting dropped down really low. Command Shockwave taking them both down really low. Cataclysm being used. Kujami forced to flash away. Black Deloria getting dropped down really low. Also forced to flash away. Lots of ultimates and lots of flashes being burnt for nothing in return.
That's actually very surprising, especially Kajami was taken very low, and Raging Demon as well. Just got out of that. Kajami actually got a blue buff for Fresh on his earlier kill onto Raging Demon.
Boostek actually taken down really low here. Dark getting dropped down extremely low from the Buckshot combo. Looks like they're going to disengage. Arrow coming down for Mosex though. He's getting dropped stunned down. Ghost being used on Lulu. Dark's getting dropped down a little bit low. Mosex almost living. Sorry, he drops down barrier. Doesn't have anywhere to run. Trying his best to kite around. Volley missing from Ash though, but they will pick up the kill eventually.
Yeah, volley missing is a little bit of a surprise. It's one of those really easier skill shots to land, but Moseps was just caught up by the Ashe ultimate and just eventually went down. Very slowly, but it did happen, and the first kill for the Dark in that bot lane.
Yeah, looks like they are playing this lane extremely well. They're playing this safely. They know when the best time for themselves to go into. They don't want to try and make any humongous plays. They're waiting until they know they can safely go in and take objectives for themselves.
And speaking of objectives, no one's really forced anything onto this dragon yet. A lot of really action has gone in every lane so far. Kills in every lane. Not really any on the junglers, and only one assist in that last fight for Essam in that kill onto Moseps. But again, no real objectives forced, no turrets down, and I don't even think there's really a whole lot of damage that's gone onto turrets yet either. Really, Esteem in the top lane, as much as he is winning that lane, he doesn't have any damage to go on the turrets.
Hokage actually getting put into a little bit of a dangerous position. You're using less bounce. Ignite going down onto Otas here. Gonna drop down extremely low. He will fall. Hokage now on the run here, trying to get his best to get away. Gets a slow down from his Q, and Isam is actually just gonna let him walk away here. Knows he won't be able to kill him no matter how much he chases him.
Yeah, that was a little bit.
Meanwhile, in the bot lane here, Box being used. Moseps getting a kill down to Darkfire with the auto attack and collateral damage. Huge amounts of burst damage coming out. And this is what we were talking about in terms of getting caught down in that bottom lane. If they don't manage to disengage that properly, there's nowhere to run. They have no escapes really on that team, or sorry, on that bottom lane. And they got caught out, and they did pay the price for it.
Yeah, that's one thing we failed to mention earlier. We mentioned the team comps are very similar, but one thing that FireFrost doesn't have is a lot of mobility, and so far it's actually lost him a lot of kills. Raging Demon actually in all of that, he got a kill onto Kajami in the mid lane. The Ignite finished him off there. It looks like the first turret would go down here in the bottom lane. Moseps just finishing that off with boost spec. First turret of the game to Xer0thermic.
Yeah, so this is looking pretty good so far for Xero here. They are 3 kills up, 5-2 in kills. It's got a whole tower up at just over 2k gold in the lead. So this is looking extremely good for them so far.
Yeah, no dragon yet again, but it looks like some of the members on Xero are rotating around in that area, and I'm wrong. It's just a blue buff being transferred to Kajami.
Kajami picking up his blue buff, second blue buff for him so far this game. Is going to be able to just push out that mid lane here. Let's take a look at the CS score actually in this lane. 108 on Orianna to 94 on Ari. Looks like they got some extremely similar build paths coming out for both of them, but Ari does have those 2 kills so far, so definitely winning so far in this matchup. Meanwhile on the side here, Isam actually getting a little bit caught out here, uses his EQ combo defensively to get out of there. It looks like kind of a little bit of a dance going around Dragon here. Not really sure what everybody's planning on doing. Vuspec just getting rid of a ward in front of the Dragon pit there.
Yeah, Assam was taking a lot of damage. Just again, it's the point blank Graves burst. He didn't take the full brunt of it, but he was taking low a few auto attacks. And Zero is actually having the vision dominance over Dragon right now. There's no pink wards left in Evil Kid's inventory. A little bit of action down this in the mid lane though. It's like a
Yeah,
little
Kajami using his ultimate here, just kiting around the Jarvan. Looks like Jarvan was trying to go in for an EQ combo, comboed in with the ultimate. The polymorph being used, Evil Kid trying to catch up to use Wild Growth on somebody. Actually gets charmed down, gets Gobit caught out here. Huge burst damage, Crash Shockwave catching all three out. Arrow will go down, landing on both of EQ combo, knocking them all up. Kajami getting dropped down really low. Glacial Prism will lock down Raging Demon. Isam will drop down. Raging Demon trying to kite away. The Buckshot will pick him up. Looks like they're still on the chase. Charm just barely missing onto Dark, and they are going to walk away from this. 3 kills to no deaths for Zero.
And I've completely lost connection.
Okay, I'll keep going for now then. Let me know when you come back in. So that was what happened there was a lot of look what happened. Sorry. Lulu was trying to get in there to use her Wild Growth, comboed in with the Shockwave immediately. They tried to do this earlier with Jarvan, but it failed because Jarvan was taking a lot of damage and he wasn't able to get in close enough. So they backed off. Lulu went back in, getting the ball onto her. Got hooked, wasn't allowing her to use Wild Growth onto herself, got melted before she even had a chance to use it, and then Shockwave was used. A little bit later than they would have liked, it still did a lot of damage. The Ash Arrow came out, managed to do a lot of CC, but the burst damage that came down from Zero was just too much, and even though they had all of that CC, they couldn't clean up the fight. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane here, Dark actually taking a lot of damage here. Deloya trying his best to catch up to them. Deloya does have that red buff. Dark is out of mana, forced to flash away. Deloya is still on a chase. There is no tower. The barrier being used. Flash coming down from Deloya. Dark trying his best to kite. Will eventually drop down to Deloya though. And there was also a tower taken in the top lane. Zac, Hokage manages to pick up another tower, so that's 3 towers now. Because they also just got the mid lane. The Spirit Rush being used onto Raging Demon. Kajami trying to kite away, not get too caught out here. Does manage to pick up a kill onto Raging Demon. And then from the side, Isam will pick up the kill right behind where the turret used to be.
A lot of action everywhere there. The Sejuani is actually really hard to deal with early game just because the base damage from her is so high. And so far, the Dark hasn't really been able to complete any items yet. He has pieces of everything.
Sorry, Asami getting caught out in the jungle there, though. They saw him coming down from a ward that was placed by the enemy Wraith camp. Wolfsep's waiting into Tri-Brush for him, just unloaded everything onto him and annihilated his health bar.
Yeah, that's a very dead Jarvan right there. A lot of skirmishing going down. That's really just been in favor of Zero so far. The first dragon is being started out here, and it looks like they should pick it up really uncontested. No smite available to really steal that away. Only a few stray skill shots, and no one in the area to take that. The first dragon is Xer0thermic.
Yeah, there we go. First dragon going down for 0, 18 minutes into the game. Just about a 7k gold lead going down. Graves actually going extremely aggressive into his bottom lane. Getting polymorph, taking a little bit of damage here. Exhaust going down. He's forced to disengage. Glacial Prison coming out from the side though. Manages to lock a lot of them up. Mokips gets dropped down extremely low. Will drop down though. Dark trying his best to run away now. Evo running the opposite way. Gets hit down by the death sentence though. He has nowhere to run. Black the Lawyer will pick up the kill here. Evo is running for his life now. He does see that Orianna is coming around the side though. Trying his best to kite around. Wild Growth has already been used. Polymorph being used down onto Vusek. Looks like everybody's just kind of trying to run away, but they have nowhere to really run. Vusek getting a little bit caught down. Command Shockwave being used. Raging Demon will pick up the kill onto Vusek. Now Kujami is here to join the fight. Spirit Rush being used. Huge amounts of burst damage coming out. Lulu flashing the other way. Trying his best to run away. Again, has little to no health. Kujami getting dropped down extremely low. Isam is here to join the fight. Command Attack will pick that up. Black Deloya still chasing down Evil Kid down the river. Looks like they are going to let him get away from this one though.
This game right now is so chaotic. And then the top lane of Toas Var actually was dropping down to Esteem, who just has so much map pressure. The 1v1, Esteem is just dominating a Toas Var in CS and kills and just even damage, even though he's building straight up tank so far.
Yeah, and this is scary though, is that although Jace is building pretty offensively here, the sheer amount of defense is coming out from Zac. Already has a Sunfire Cape, almost has a Randuin's done with the Warden's Mail and a Giant's Belt, and he's got a Doran Shield. He is practically unkillable to any AD on the team by this point. He's just got way too many defensive stats to be killed by any AD on the enemy team. Orianna is realistically the only threat that they have against Zac by this point.
Yeah, that's just due to a lot of the armor that he has, and again, it goes back to the fact that the Dark really doesn't have any real major complete items yet, and unfortunately I'm watching from the stream so I can't actually see the items at the moment. He probably has an Infinity Edge either close to completed or it's already completed by this point. But that's really all he has.
Yeah, Dark has his Infinity Edge by this point, so yeah.
And that's all he has. There's no armor penetration, no anything to deal with the Xer0 right now. Mosap's actually picking up the blue for his team, not going to Kajami quite yet. But both teams are looking for some action in this mid lane. A few retreat pings actually coming out on both sides. And it looks like FireFrost just wants to continue farming for now. Try to get back into this game. Some CS is actually relatively even across the board, except for in the top lane, where again, Steam is just going all over the Toas bar and actually jumps in.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, Ostel's getting dropped down extremely low by Xer0 there. Real disengaged though. Getting dropped down a little bit low. Evil Kid did show up there. Didn't use Wild Growth, but the presence did manage to get Xer0 to back off and go back to farming his lane. Astos forced to back away though, getting dropped down extremely low. And now pretty much every lane is being pressured by the purple side here, by Xer0. Just keeping the lanes pushed as best as they can, keeping the pressure up, forcing FireFrost to chase them all over the map and not group up. And this is exactly what they need to do. FireFrost has got such an amazing team fighting composition that the last thing they're looking to Xer0 is looking to do is actually have a proper 5-on-5 team fight. They're looking to pick people off so that they can't have proper team fights.
And it goes back to the team comps. Both of them have very good team fights, but because they don't want to deal with the counter engage that both of them are capable of, Raging Demon stealing a big wraith there. This is kind of funny. Anyway, they just want to continue.
A lot of aggression going down to the mid lane here, though. Kujami getting a little bit caught up by the knockup here. Isam trying his best to catch up to them. Charm being dropped down there. Command Shockwave was used as well, but they do manage to drop and walk away from that safely. Meanwhile, Glacial Prison actually comes down here. Isam getting a little bit caught up. Death Sentence hitting onto him. He's getting slowed down. Flayed, got it out. Vox being used. Flash coming down from Kujami. Huge amounts of burst damage. Kujami will pick up that kill.
Yeah, he was trying to get the EQ combo out, but actually the Charm pulled him back in away from.
Meanwhile, the bot lane, Musab actually getting hit by the tower. Arrow being used while he was taking tower damage. Forced to use barrier to survive the engagement. Now Dark using his barrier. He doesn't have the Infinity Edge. Trading blows. He flashes away. Most of them will pick it up with like how much health here? 150 health under his belt. That was an extremely close trade. Now, like. So now we see a lot of aggression going down into the mid lane here. Kujami taking a lot of damage here. Evil digging down really low. Charm was landed. Looks like Sejuani's going to try and disengage from this as well. Everybody's going to walk away from that safely.
Yeah, and his team is on the side, just looking to Elastic Slingshot in, but doesn't quite do that. He'll disengage, go back, and actually is stealing the blue right now. Which is... it's not entirely important for Orianna by this point. She already has the Athens and Holy Grail. Some action in the bot lane going down here. Most of us getting jumped on.
Xer0 does manage to get that blue buff though. Actually fails to jump over. Wild Growth was used. Forced to use Let's Bounce. He's trying to get away as fast as he can. Gets ignited though. The Cell Division passive is up. We're going to be able to finish this in time. Did he manage to get 2 Bloblets down? 1 Bloblet is still up. He does manage to get up. Clash Shockwave being used a little bit early. Doesn't actually knock up the cell passes, but they do manage to pick up the kill there. But meanwhile, the bot lane, they did manage to pick up that tower. Jace was dropped down extremely low. Dark getting dropped down extremely low. Flash Death Sentence just barely missing. And looks like they're going to keep sieging this bottom tower. The pressure coming out from this team is incredible.
Yeah, and there's pressure all over the place too. Again, it goes back to the fact they don't want to deal with counter engages that are trying to avoid all-out team fights, even though they're almost 8,000 gold ahead by this point. They want to keep it where it is. They want to keep the game chaotic because that's what's working for them. They don't want to let it up.
Yeah, they're not letting FireFrost do their 5v5 composition. This entire composition is based around having these 5v5 comps, and they have not had a single one yet. They are not being allowed to have their fight because of the sheer amount of split pressure coming out from this team. Every lane is constantly being pushed, and every time they try to stop this push, they're too far behind to stop it anyways, and they end up dying. They need to manage to collapse on people and enforce objectives as soon as they can.
Yeah, and especially now that Dragon is respawned, they're going to look to do that relatively soon. They really should be able to deal with this mid lane push right now from Team FireFrost. They're trying to push up the mid turn after everyone from Xer0 had backed off. Nothing really came out of that though. And really, FireFrost is just left having to react to Xer0 at every angle. They can't push on anywhere because either the wave clear is too strong, or someone is just there to aggress them back off of whatever they're trying to do.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit aggressive here. Almost getting caught out here. Gets polymorph. Getting dropped down pretty low. The Lantern is there while growth being used. He does get knocked up. Descent is coming around. The team is trying their best to catch up here. Moses getting dropped down really low. Cataclysm being used. Command Shockwave also dropping him down. Boostep's chopped inside the Cataclysm. Entire enemy team collapsing onto him. They will manage to pick up Boostep's, and this will be a Dragon they can pick up. This is exactly what they're looking for. But meanwhile, in the top lane, Hokage is going to be able to pick up a free tier 2 tower. The enemy team is trying to recall in time for that, but they will not make it in time for that tower to be dropped.
Yeah, Dragon for a turret, especially at this point where Xer0 is already so far ahead. That's not a trade they want to make. They'll take it just because of the gold the Dragon offers, but it's not really going to work out too well for them in the long run. This team actually phase tanking just to finish that turret off, but that's worth it for him.
Yeah, they do manage to get a tier 2 tower. That is 2 tier 2s already taken down. They have access to 2 inner turrets in the bottom and top lane, so they are able to do an insane amount of pressure all throughout the map now. Arrow actually heading down here. Let's see if... Was that an arrow? Did I just... No, it wasn't. Okay, I think I had a visual bug there. My mistake. It looked like Ash had shot a enchanted crystal arrow across the map there, but it actually didn't, so I think I just had a visual bug.
Yeah, there was... Yeah, it's on cooldown right now. It's actually almost off cooldown by this point. Looks like Black just getting blue buff again, back to Kajomi there. I believe that's like the 3rd or 4th blue buff for him in this game so far. Actually, the most recent one was going over to Moseps, that Graves there. A little bit mana hungry, not the best person to have it on, but I guess they wanted it for the engagement before that. Again, just so much pressure right now. It looks like Team FireFrost is actually trying to force that 5v5 fight. Only 3 of them in the mid lane right now, and Evil Kid sitting in the base, probably waiting for an item or something. But they're trying to force the 5v5 because that they know that's what Xer0thermic is actually trying to get away from by this point. It's a 7k gold disadvantage for them though. Even in the 5v5, they're going to have to rely on perfect crowd control execution just to pull out really even trade as far as the 5v5 is
Zach actually coming into the fight. You're using Let's Bounce on the 3 members of the enemy team. Raging Demon getting hit up by the Death Sentence. Huge amounts of burst damage. Crash Shockwave being used. Glacial Prison locking up the entire enemy team. Double kill coming down for Graves. Evil Co's trying to do his best to run away. He will drop as well. Actually, no, he will flash away. Dark trying to do his best to kite underneath the turret. He is kiting. Does have to burn flash. Retreat down into his base though. That was a very quick engage and a huge cleanup. Massive amounts of burst damage coming down. Let's Bounce actually being used once again. Or sorry, Elastic Slingshot. Dark getting caught up by a Death Sentence. Buckshot will clean up that kill as well.
Yeah, and meanwhile on the bot lane, that inhibitor turret is going down again. Only Jace left to defend the 5v1
You actually see the GG calls coming out. The team has surrendered, and they will be calling the game. That is game 4. Sorry, what is their name again, Brett?
Team FireFrost, Xer0thermic takes the Xer0thermic takes the win from that.
There we go. Xer0thermic takes the win for this game. Extremely well played. Managing to keep up consistent splitting pressure because they had such a demanding lead early on. So we will be getting after this game pretty soon. We'll be starting the next game as soon as we possibly can. We're glad for you guys joining us. Me and Brett will be signing off for casting for the rest of the day. Next up, we will be having Pippin and Robert casting for you guys. It's a pleasure casting for you guys today.
Yes, thank you all for coming out. We'll be back after a short break and cue the music.